Hello everyone. Today we are going to be finalizing our last two worksheets. Our second to last one that we're going to be talking about is form. So up at the top of your worksheet I need your name, Miss K, and our class period. So form is something that is 3D, and when something is 3D it has to have volume, length, width, and height. So volume is something that we measure, as in weight. Length, width, and height is some sort of measurement that we use just to measure like how big it is. So circle these three: length, width, and height. Volume is something that we measure for how heavy it is. So below, we need to turn these simple shapes into a 3D form. So for instance, I put my dash lines here so I can make a square, this guy right here, into a cube. So whenever you guys are generically thinking about like how am I going to change a 2D shape into a 3D shape, what you're going to have to do is I just take my finger or a ruler and I drag until I touch an edge. Even if you need to circle them, that even helps sometimes. So I know I have all these different angles that I have to tackle whenever I'm looking at form. So I drag my finger until I touch one of these circles and I draw my line. Now all of your lines are going to have to be approximately the same length so that this ends up working. So I catch this one down here, and because I touch the inside of the shape, because it's 3D and it's an actual like object that I can touch, I don't draw a line. So I go up here and I touch my next one. There's that line, and then I go down here and I touch this one. Now I have to connect them all. So these lines have to be either horizontal or vertical. So we have our horizontal right here and our vertical. Connect them, and then I have a solid shape. So there's my cube. Now for my triangle, I'm going to use a different angle, so I just turn my paper and turn my finger. I'm going to have my angles come out this way. So this one, I don't have any of it touching any of the other shape. Now if I touch this one down here, if I keep it the same angle, it should actually be fine. Just got to make sure it's about the same length. Now connect it, so this one's our horizontal. And because of the angle of this triangle, it's actually going to be a little bit different, so it's going to touch about right here. So now we took a triangle into a pyramid. For this one at the bottom, we're taking a rectangle and making it into a rectangular prism. So I'm going to take my finger this time. If you got a circle just to help out, that works for me. So I touch this guy. This one doesn't touch on the inside of the shape, so I draw that line. That one doesn't touch. This one up here does, so I don't go inside of it. And then I work down here at the bottom and I draw my last line. Here's my horizontal. And here's my vertical. Got my rectangular prism. Last one, because I know that it's a little bit tricky, is an organic shape. So we're taking this kind of bean shape-ish and taking it into a 3D organic shape. So again, same thing. If I'm going at this angle, because I decided it, because I did it with my dash lines, I do my straight line here, touch until I get to the edge of the shape, draw that line, and then follow this exact same curve. So I personally trace it just so my muscle memory gets comfortable with this shape, and draw this exact same shape up top. Now that that's done, you guys are all done with the front. We flip it over. So with your pencils, you are taking value on these 3D representations that we worked on before. So we're basically taking 2D and we're turning it into a 3D representation to fool the eye as you see it in 3D. So we are trying to add value to these forms below. That's why we practiced value yesterday. So this one has it already. I have my sunshine over here, so that means that I don't have any value up top for the most part. It might have like a 1 or a 2 where it's really nice and light, but it's always on the opposite side of the sun. So I fill it out nice and light. Once it gets closer to that sun, it disappears. So that's just white. So this one, because it's getting further away from the sun, this is going to be a 2 or a 3. And again, as we get closer to the sun, it gets lighter and lighter. Because the copier machine doesn't pick it up as dark, This one technically would have been done, just didn't pick up all the darkness whenever I shaded it in the first time. So again, it's further away at the bottom, so I finalize all this with a 3 value transition up until my 1, which is white. So a little bit of white, and then I have probably about a 3 right here. Now I need a 4 and a 5 here. So because this is the furthest edge away, this is going to be the darkest. This is going to be a little bit lighter because it's closer to the sun. So color or shade it in as dark as I can here. And do a 4 transition. So we go 3 to 4. A little bit softer up here. So darker here. Just a little bit lighter on this side. So again, I touch my sun. Here's where most of my white's going to be, on the face of my pyramid. So here I'm going to have like 2 up until my 1. There's my 2 value. Make sure my lines are nice and close together and smooth, otherwise I can go over again with my finger and just blend it on down. Nice and light. Perfect. So, because this is on the opposite side of the sun, it's going to be a little bit lighter here. I might have a 2, and then down here I'm going to have 3s, maybe even a 4. So furthest away is darkest. Get that 3 or 4 in there, and do my value transition up until I hit that 1, or no, a 2. So we need a little bit of shading, just so it distinguishes between the front face. Neat. So with our sphere, we practiced that one, but now we don't have our guiding lines. So again, we touch right here because it's closest to the sun. Down here, we're going to have our 4s. We're going to have a little bit of that line to help the reflection that comes up underneath the sphere. So here's our 4, I would say a 3, 2s, and here's our 1s. So I'm going to go light first. Here's my 2. And we got to be perfect. Just going to make sure our lines are pretty close together and about the same value. Okay, here's my 3. Three's done. I'm kind of blending it in just a little bit so I have a nice smooth transition. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Here's my 4. I'll leave that little sliver at the bottom so I can get my 3 back in there, just for that little reflection. And 3. Okay, so I have a sphere and it feels pretty round just because I added value in there. Okay, so because I touch my sun and I touch the top of the rectangular pyramid, that's actually the closest. So it's very similar to our square or our cube. So again, I move over here and I got my 1 or 2, and I blend it out to my pure white. Do a little bit here on the bottom angle, not too terribly much. Okay, front face. This is going to be the lightest, down here is the darkest because it's the furthest away. Probably going to go for a 3, 2, 1 blend. So there's my 3. Oops, a little bit darker than I intended. And if something is darker that you really want, then you just take your eraser and you tap at that area and it makes it a little bit lighter. You don't sit there and rub it, you just tap at it. There we go, I blended right on in. Okay, now I'm going to go blend into my 2. You notice I'm doing it at a couple of different angles, and that's again just to catch all those white lines that we don't want. Get close to pure white, but not pure white. There we go. Back face, remember we're catching like 3s all the way down to 4 or 5. So here's my 3 because it's closest to my sun, and then down here's my 4s and 5s. So my black is black. Get my 4 surrounding it. Decent amount of 4, and then I blend into a 3. Get rid of those last little white spots, and we're done. So this is for form. We're just basically making 2D into 3D. So if you guys have any other questions, need any extra help, please just raise your hands and I'll be glad to help you guys out. Our next and last art element will be color, and I love color, so I think you guys are going to like that last one. Thank you for watching.